Nat co-founded GlobeSherpa in 2010 and serves as its CEO. So prior to GlobeSherpa, Nat worked as a project manager for Element Power, overseeing the development of utility-scale wind and solar projects in the western U.S., as well as for Pacific Crest Securities, a technology-focused investment bank. Nat holds a bachelor's degree in political science from James Madison University and a master's degree in international management from Portland State University. When Nat is not evangelizing GlobeSherpa's technology, he can be found pursuing the perfect telemark turn in Mount Hood's backcountry or floating one of Oregon's world-class rivers. Thanks for joining us today, Nat.
Thank you so much, Ann. I appreciate the warm introduction, and thank you to everyone who's taken time to listen to the presentation today. That's a roundabout introduction about GlobeSherpa's approach to mobile payments and mobile ticketing. We are delighted to be working with INIT to help their clients and customers really move forward in the fare collection world with what we believe is a truly innovative, low risk, and low capital procurement that basically gives a great convenience to riders and which introduces efficiencies into overall operations. So my goal today is to walk you through kind of the big picture and then do a bit of a live demo on the system that we've built for TriMet here in Portland, Oregon. So please feel free to hop in if you need a question answered or would just like to interrupt with a comment. You know, the problem, the pain that GlobeSherpa and INIT are working to address is how do we provide a more seamless experience to transit agency customers, to riders, giving them an easy and new convenient way to buy and use their tickets for your system. More fundamentally, though, a larger problem that we're trying to address is how can we carve out some efficiencies and reduce the cost of overall fare collection relative to your entire operations. And we're seeing a lot of advances in technology today, obviously with near-field communications, QR code scanning, even visually authenticated animated tickets. And the real goal here of this technology is to reduce the amount of cash-based transactions as much as we possibly can across the system. And frankly, to do the most we can to reduce transactions at more expensive sales channels like vending machines or at the fare box, and really drive sales through the more efficient mobile ticketing channel. So with that, we're going to walk you through today the Rider application, which is a cross-platform app, embedded native app that we've developed for iOS, Android, BlackBerry, and mobile web that allows riders to buy and use tickets, access your APIs to expose real-time arrival information. We will give you a quick overview of the Inspector application, which is a handheld enforcement app that we've developed for your fare enforcement personnel to verify the authenticity of tickets. We will walk you through TOMS, which is our ticket operations management system, the real back office brains behind the platform. And we'll just talk a little bit about the experience we've had here in Portland. I want to make sure we have plenty of time for interaction and questions, though. So again, I was a regular transit rider. I'm not sure that my bio is the best intro for exactly why we got started in mobile ticketing. But while I was a graduate student at Portland State University, I was doing a thesis on mobile payments, and I was a transit-dependent rider. So I was riding every day. And just anecdotally was very frustrated at the experience of using ticket vending machines due to their unreliability, due to the fact that it was just inconvenient during rush hour with queuing. And gosh, here in Portland it rains quite a bit. So I wanted to find an easier way just for my own everyday commute to buy and use a ticket. And that's what drove the formation of GlobeSherpa a couple years ago. The more that I got into the space, and the more that I was able to learn from TriMet and Portland Streetcar here in our backyard, the more we realized that legacy fare collection is difficult, and it's complicated, and it's expensive. So the goal of our technology is not to be a wholesale replacement by any means for your other channels, but to introduce a new sales channel that we believe will serve your riders and overall help reduce the cost of collection for you across your operations. We spoke to many riders. We spent a year and a half in requirements gathering before I actually raised money, started this company, and wrote a line of code. So we interviewed hundreds of end users and riders and asked them, what could we build that would make your life easier? And from those interviews, we learned quite a bit. One of the biggest things that we learned was that many riders actually go places in groups. So we had a lot of moms who were taking kids to the zoo, guys who were going to a game together. And so we really listened, and we've used what's called a validated learning agile development process, which means that our company develops code and we test it quickly with real users, both end users that are riders as well as agency personnel, to make sure that we're not engineering in a box or in the dark, that we're actually addressing the real use cases. So we want to make sure that we have a backup and a redundancy to other channels, be them ticket vending machines if they break down or outlet resellers who may run out of stock. And we want to create a real connection to the rider. So this is more than just about ticketing or paying for your fare. It's about creating a channel for you as an agency to, in fact, communicate with riders and to gather very meaningful and actionable data about how they use the system. So Juniper Research is an independent market research firm, and they are very bullish on mobile payments and ticketing generally. They report that by 2015, we're going to see a 5x growth in e-ticketing for metro and bus across the world. And I think that if you look just at the proliferation of new mobile payments platforms like Square, Stripe, even the Starbucks application where people are scanning a QR code at the point of sale, we really believe that this technology is taking off and that it can be a great channel for transit agencies to really just make their operations more efficient. So the goal here is to make sure that we provide as little static or as little headache for the end user as possible. And what that means is that tickets should be the same cost to the end user as they are today through other channels. So this is a free application. And we want to be technology agnostic. What that means is that if you as an agency have a set of existing infrastructure, specifically contactless or QR reading capability on your buses or on your platforms, we want to leverage the investment you've made in that technology and integrate with it. So we'll talk a bit about how GlobeSherpa has been working with INIT, integrating our mobile application and back office with their Prox mobile readers. And then we'll also just talk about our capabilities to help you leverage general transit specification feed-based APIs to help you expose arrival times, trip planning, service alerts, and disruptions, etc. So let's take a look at the rider application. The rider app that we've developed here in Portland mimics the flash pass that is currently used as the basic fare for TriMet and for Portland Streetcar. In other words, riders are simply showing their ticket to an operator, they wave them on, and that's that. What we've done is we've created an application that allows a user to one time register their credit or their debit card, and then to thereafter simply be able to be logged into the app, buy their ticket, and then show this visually authenticated animated ticket to an operator. We embed QR codes, quick response codes, within each ticket. And these are an additional layer of security that we encrypt and that provides ticket details that fare enforcement personnel can then access via the inspector app by scanning this code. In TriMet's deployment, 9 times out of 10, a rider won't actually launch the QR code. They'll simply show the animated ticket to the driver. The QR code will be used more as an audit mechanism where on a randomized basis, inspectors will ask you to produce the code. We have a number of other security features. I think I will just dig in once we do the real demo to show you those. So hang tight with us. The inspector application is a separate handheld mobile app that we've developed for fare enforcement efforts, again, as an audit mechanism, but also as a way to connect your staff, your actual inspection or conductor personnel, with the agency. So what we learned here was that several agencies have Nextel push-to-talk to know where their people are, how many people they've spoken to, how many citations have been issued. And in our technology, what we've done is we've created web services between the inspector application and TOMS, our back office, that allows you to see the throughput and the activity of the inspectors. And it gives the inspector a very simple screen that shows this is a valid ticket, It will show where it was validated, if location-based services are available. It even allows you to do a citation flag if there's a problem rider or a citation has been issued. The other thing that we came up with in interviewing tons of riders and even fare inspectors was, what happens if my phone dies? I've been on Facebook all day, or my battery simply just ran out of juice. The inspector application has a backup feature that allows the personnel to dial a rider's phone number and then call up to Tom's to see if, in fact, they have any valid tickets at that time. So with readers, let's talk about this for a moment. I think there continues to be some debate among agencies of varying size. Do we go for a fully baked QR reader or ISO 14443 contactless reader? Will NFC be on the phones? If so, which devices? And what we want to do is basically be optimistic about the future of all of this technology, but not let any single deployment or technology mode be a blocker to implementing secure and convenient mobile ticketing today. So the beauty of the partnership between GlobeSherpa and INIT is that their hardware, the Prox Mobile 2 reader, supports both QR and contactless reading. This is a very light device that is easy for us to integrate with, and we can take questions about it, but we really see this as where things are going, whether the ticket or the token for a rider is on their phone, whether it's on a card or a key fob. We really want to have a user account-based system and integrate with readers where it makes sense. Back office processing for our application is done through TOMS, which again is Ticket or Transaction Operations Management System. This is a dashboard that we've created to visualize and create fully reportable information on sales and transaction data across our system. TOMS is not only applicable to mobile ticketing, though. It can also be a back office content management system and database that can be integrated with outlet sellers like grocery stores or convenience stores. It can be integrated with ticket vending machines and other sales channels, and it's a great way to visualize and run reports on all of your data. We include geoanalytics tracking how and where tickets were used, launched, or potentially scanned by fare enforcement personnel, and we'll show you that there. We also can provide some modules to allow you to offer loyalty, promotions, coupons, advertising. So it's really a full-service back office software. Currently, we have contracts here in Portland with both TriMet and Portland Streetcar, a small but separate agency from TriMet. We have been in private testing with our system using my staff as well as TriMet's team across 2 select bus lines, the 17 and the 70. We've been running live transactions through our back office, running reports, testing the inspector app, testing the rider application. We've had numerous focus groups, polls, and activities. We will now be launching into a public beta test at the end of this month for 4 weeks with 200 actual riders. These are riders who have been culled from a cross-section, essentially, of TriMet's ridership. In just over 12 hours, TriMet had 1,700 people fill out a 10-question survey to become a beta tester, and we're only selecting 10% of that. But I can tell you there's definitely excitement and anticipation for the technology, and we're really excited to share that success with you. The goal is to roll out later this summer, likely end of June or early July, across the entire system. We will be the first multimodal deployment of mobile ticketing and payments in the United States. So we've seen some deployments of ticketing on MBTA commuter rail, for example, in Boston, as well as in the New York waterways with the ferry system in New York between the various boroughs. Obviously, DART has procured a solution, and we've seen some limited integration in the San Diego, North County area with special events. GlobeSherpa's technology will be the first across bus, rail, commuter rail, and streetcar and lift. So thank you for listening to that. I think, Anne, with your permission, I can hop right into the demo, or do you want to pause there for a moment?
No, go right ahead, Nat.
Great. So can everyone, well, I guess, Anne, can you see my screen still? See
it looks great.
iPhone there?
Yep, looks great. Go ahead.
Okay. Fantastic. So what we are looking at right now is an iPhone simulator. This is something that mimics what the actual device looks like. These are notoriously buggy, so if it crashes, everyone take a deep breath and we'll get back on track. But what we're looking at right now is the buy ticket screen for the TriMet mobile application. What we've done is we've spent an enormous amount of effort thinking about how to make user experience design seamless, easy, and intuitive. The test that we've always asked is, could my mom, could my grandfather actually use this and buy a ticket? And we've actually brought my mom into our office to make her do just that, which is hilarious, and she was able to do it. But what we're looking at right now is the mobile application itself. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen where my arrows, where my cursor is, tab groups. And we use tab groups as the primary navigation element across the application. This is a very common archetype in mobile application development. In Android or iOS, tab groups are typically featured at the top of the screen versus the bottom. And in our Android version of the app, we do just that. So we're looking at the buy ticket screen, which is where I, as a rider, will come to purchase a ticket. You'll notice that I select my rider class. In this case, I'm an adult. And now I move to step 2 to select the fare that I'd like to purchase. In this case, maybe I'm riding all day, so I'll select a day pass. And what you'll notice here is that we have a cart here that has been populated with my selection. So I've selected an adult day pass. We incorporate isotypes, which are these little iconographic symbols that help the rider develop a symbolic reference to the fare structure. These are symbols that are used across the system, and it really helps to make the application sticky. One thing I just want to show you, I'll clear what I had selected, and you'll notice that the checkout button here is grayed out. So we've really paid a lot of attention to making sure that there are visual and intuitive cues, that show that I've selected a valid fare. So if someone selects just their rider type, you'll notice that the checkout has not turned green yet because they need to take the second step and select what they'd like to purchase. And there it is, it's green. Now let's say that I'm riding with my kids. I can select some youth tickets here as well, maybe 2 youth 2-hour tickets. And you'll notice again that the subtotal is populated here with the total down at the bottom. When I'm ready to purchase, I press checkout. And one time when I basically download the application and make my first purchase, I can upload a credit or debit card or both onto the system. And in this case, I'm going to select which card I'd like. And the application is going to call up to Tom's to make sure that we have value on the card and purchase the ticket. You'll notice that we've moved now from buy tickets into my tickets. So my tickets is where purchased fares live and are accessible for the rider. You'll notice that I have a ticket up here that was already active, is set off by its lighter color. It's an honored citizen pass. And then below it, you can see I have that day pass I just purchased and the 2 youth 2-hour tickets. So when I'm ready to hop on the bus, board my ride, I simply come in and press Use. And what happens is we launch an animated digital ticket. What you're looking at is our rendering of what we believe a secure and layered approach to security really is the best way to describe this, to drive an animated ticket. So a couple things. Number 1, you're seeing a agency-branded vehicle shell. Number 2, you're seeing the Portland cityscape passing by through the bus windows. And the animation there is specifically geared towards preventing any type of static capture or screenshot of a digital ticket where someone might be able to then email that or text it to their friend. You can see we have some interesting elements here like birds on a wire. If anyone has ever seen the show Portlandia, it's a spoof on the city of Portland and how weird we are. And there's a funny episode that says if you put a bird on something, it's automatically cool. So that's why you're seeing birds on a wire here passing through our ticket. You'll notice that the timestamp for the ticket is actually blinking. So this is an indication of when the fare expires, and we have logic built into the system that automatically removes the ticket once it's expired. But the reason that it's blinking is that we ran into fare enforcement guys who said, look, what's to stop someone from simply buying a ticket if and only if they see me board the light rail? And we said, there's no way for us to stop that, but we'll give you a very clear visual indication that someone just validated the ticket, just used the ticket. And that, in turn, can drive the enforcement officer to make a secondary request for authentication, either by scanning the ticket or just asking the person, hey, when did you launch the ticket? You'll notice it shows what type of ticket we have. It also shows a 2-digit alphanumeric day code. So TriMet and GlobeSherpa use a web service to communicate this code between our respective systems. And their operators and fair enforcement people know that this is the code for the day. So every ticket should follow the appropriate day code. One other nifty feature is you can tap anywhere on the bus windows with your finger, in this case it's just my cursor, and turn the lights on in the bus. And the reason that we included this feature was to demonstrate that this is not a video re-recording of an animated ticket. So we want to have a number of secure features that, when combined, really give us a high degree of certainty that this is an authentic fare issued by your agency. By the way, the lights on feature is also just one of these Easter eggs that riders absolutely love. Every time they use it for the first time, they just giggle and they show their friend. So this is another way that we can be creative and start building hype. Lastly, by actually pressing the day code button, we generate on demand an encrypted QR code within the application. So a couple things to note here. A QR code itself is a type of barcode that can contain a high number of variables and data within. It's entirely encrypted with our own algorithm, so anyone who has an off-the-shelf QR reading application would not be able to get the data from this particular QR code. The only key that can decrypt it is contained in the inspector application. You'll notice that this shows when the actual fare was validated. And another thing to note is you can see that the ticket is still animating behind the QR code itself. Yet again, we don't want to have anyone who can take a static capture of that image and send it to their friend. So we really want to have a thoughtful approach to security. So now that I'm done, you'll notice that the day pass that I've used is now considered active. It shows me that it expires on this day. Now let's say that we're riding in a group, to my earlier comment. This toggle at the top of our screen allows me to come in and actually combine multiple tickets and use them in conjunction with one another. So this 2 at the top on what's called the nav bar shows you that I have 2 fares, and this automatically will launch to show that I have both an Honored Citizen week pass as well as an adult day pass on the same system. I can select them here just like I would, still generate my QR code for each ticket. And this way, we're showing drivers a clear indication, hey, there are 2 people riding on this particular phone. Now, one other quick thing here, trip tools. Here in Portland, TriMet has a relatively robust mobile website where they have provided and exposed arrival time information, trip planning. In this case, we're simply pointing to their site and incorporating it in the application. It's really important from our perspective that we're able to bundle or combine the convenience of having access to this information that riders are checking on a daily basis with the ability to then buy and use the ticket. So we really think that those shouldn't be siloed, that they should go together. So in this case, again, we can come through and see distinct information, trip planning. We also have a help tab, and the goal here is to drive as much customer questions to self-help features within the application. It's one thing we've learned is that when you deploy a new system like this, you really need to have the customer service element nailed. And those people will either be our greatest friends, or they will not like the system if we don't give them tools to help riders navigate potential questions that come up. So for example, here we have a help tab that allows people to come through and just do very basic things. How to buy a ticket, will I have to create an account? So we have lots of easy self-help features throughout the application. This is also where a user can call up to their account. So this is a feature which will call up to Tom's if, for example, I wanted to access my billing profile, or if I wanted to look at my order history, what I've purchased. So here it is. I just purchased a day pass and 2-hour tickets. There's that information. Lastly, you'll notice this little icon on the nav bar, and this is a nifty little feature, a safety light. So we developed this because we spoke to several riders who were not in the urban core of the city, where ambient light was not in excess near their bus stop, and they said, you know, once in a while a driver will actually pass by me because they don't see me at the stop. So we included this as a way to make the rider visible to the driver as they're being picked up at night. So that is, in a nutshell, the rider application. Very clean, very easy to use, and straightforward. And what's funny is if anyone thinks differently, I can't hear you. So I'm just going to imagine you're all nodding yes.
That's great, Nat. That's it is. It's just very, very unique, and I'm excited about this. So continue.
Which is, now what I would like to show you is transitsherpa.com, which is the e-commerce website that accompanies and essentially mirrors the same experience as the rider application. So hopefully you can see my screen. You'll notice, again, this is an agency-branded website, TriMet's website, powered by GlobeSherpa, or in this case, powered by INIT. And what you'll see is that we wanted to provide an easy, slick, web interface for people to buy tickets from their computer at work or at home and send those tickets to the device. We also noticed that some people prefer to enter credit card information or go through their billing profile online as opposed to on the mobile device, just by way of preference for hitting keys. So the first thing that you'll notice here is that this site, its design really tries to mirror and match what we see in the rider application. So again, layout, colors, intuitiveness is important. So just clicking through here, we can do the same thing we did on the rider application, maybe buy a youth month pass here. And this is a shopping cart driven experience. So I just added that product to my shopping cart. I can come and check out, go through the same process that I would through the application, but just on the website here. So you can see I've got a stored card that's ready to go, shows what's in my cart. Anyone who's used Amazon.com or any other e-commerce website should feel pretty comfortable through this process. We can also come up and look at the order history, as I mentioned before, similar to what we did. Our cart remains here, so we haven't lost that. We can also come through and incorporate marketing materials. In this case, it's just talking about GlobeSherpa, but this is really a portal where you as an agency can deliver news, embed self-help videos, or just have a way to communicate with your ridership. transitsherpa.com is also the place where you as an agency are able to log in to the back office, to Tom. So I'm going to do that now and walk you through that system. So TOMS, again, stands for Ticket Operations Management System, and this is the repository of sales and transaction data related to both the rider application, the e-commerce website, as well as the activity provided by the Inspector app. What you're looking at right now is what we have done to visualize this information in a way that gives you the power to look at your own reporting, look at your own fare taxonomy or product taxonomy, and to give you as an agency the tools and the power to change things as you decide. So what we're looking at is 3 primary navigation elements, so analytics, tickets, and enforcement, with sub-navigation to the left. So we're looking here at an actual date range of data, and I can come through and select a custom date range. You'll see that it automatically or dynamically changes the data by calling our API. And so we can see what that data is. We can even do time of day and change the data that way. And you'll notice that we can essentially come through here and look at what the sale of different products look like relative to one another. We can look at month-over-month or week-over-week sales data. We can come through and actually see the breakdown of tickets, users, etc. And all of this is very customizable. So if there's a particular report that you would like or would like to run, it's really easy for us to integrate new features here. So let's take a look at sales reporting. What we learned in interviewing multiple agencies, but really doing a deep dive with TriMet, was that financial and accounting people really have a big responsibility. And in some cases, we found that they were dealing with multiple data sets and had to pull those data sets together, typically through Excel or an ERP system that they use. What we wanted to do was to make their job a bit easier and to basically have all of this information right at your fingertips. So we're looking at an actual list of data that corresponds yet again to the date range we've selected. But all of this data is quickly exportable via XML, CSV, so that people can be crunching these numbers in their own spreadsheets. Or in this case, I'm exporting a PDF right on the fly. So, if you're walking into a meeting with the general manager, bam, there it is. There's your sales report right on the fly. So no delay, no text file, sent to you on a daily basis. This is all highly usable and configurable at your fingertips. Geostatistics is a really interesting portion of this system. And the reason I say interesting is because it's location-based services afforded by GPS and cellular triangulation have really changed the way that embedded native applications work. You'll see that a lot of apps that you download ask permission to use your location. And our application does the same thing. So it's an opt-in policy to allowing people to have location turned on. What we found is that riders are increasingly comfortable, particularly in a transit context, at allowing location to be used, because it optimizes their experience of accessing arrivals and trip planning. What it does for us here, though, is we've created a dashboard, so you're looking at the city of Portland, and we can actually drill down and aggregate data related to where tickets were purchased, where they were launched, and where they may have potentially been scanned by fare enforcement personnel. You'll have to bear with me as it populates here. It might be a little blurry on your screen. But what we're able to do, should be clearing here any second, is come down to even the block level within a city and get down to granular level data. So I'm going to click one more time. And you should see some dots on your screen appear. So blue dots, green dots, and some red dots. And these correspond, again, to purchase tickets, tickets that were launched, and tickets that were scanned by fare enforcement personnel. We've even included a heat mapping feature which shows hotspots of activity. And the goal here is really to provide you a easy-to-use and visualize set of data that we believe have real implications for service planning. So understanding how and where the system is being utilized, what that looks like relative to various stop IDs, and understanding, maybe there are some improvements or efficiencies we can create in our operations based on this data. We are able to come through and look at individual, enforcement efforts. They scanned an adult day pass. We know the user ID based on that. One of the things that we've learned and discussed is privacy really is important in this stuff, and you've got to nail it. You've got to get it right. And where we've landed is to remove individually identifiable information from the geodata itself, such that we simply know, hey, is it a day pass, is it an adult, a youth, an honored citizen, but we don't know it's Susan versus John. And that's really important. I would encourage everyone to take privacy concerns very seriously, because it's one of the ways that, if users get upset even one time about that, you can really use or lose them. So that's important. But again, all of this allows us to come through and we can pre-select certain ticket types, again, dynamically change the data, maybe just, youth day passes. We'll see if there are any in there. There's a couple. So this really is a great tool. We see the future of this tool as being able to integrate, yet again, your outlets, your TVMs, your other sales channels to see aggregated information about what's working and what's not. Also to integrate points of interest, so merchant integration. Every Starbucks in Portland, every other coffee shop or retailer where TriMet is already doing business or has a merchant partnership, we want to integrate them such that if users opt in, they could get access to a coupon or a deal at that coffee shop in conjunction with buying their ticket. So pretty cool stuff. Under tickets, just going to pull this up. Here under tickets, we're looking at a running list of orders that have passed through the system. So we'll just take a look here at the purchase that I recently made. So here I am, Nathaniel Parker, with what I purchased on the app, as we saw. And this is to make sure that we're giving customer service and financial personnel quick access to the data. We can even come through and look at what my payment credentials were. So if there was a question about the payment card that occurred, your teams can come through and quickly pull this up and look. We even have built in a refund interface where, we want to minimize this as much as possible, but there's always going to be someone whose card, could have been stolen, or maybe their kid took their card and bought something. Maybe they simply accidentally pressed a button they didn't mean to. In this case, the refund interface allows you to actually refund all of my unused tickets, select tickets from down below that we can choose. You can actually refund a specific dollar amount versus the entire fare, or conversely, we have a credit ticket feature, which allows you to simply push a free ticket to someone saying, hey, I'm sorry you accidentally purchased this day pass. We can't refund the purchase, but we'll give you another free day pass for another day. So inventory manager. I want to talk about this because though not as sexy and slick as geostatistics or our rider application, I really think this is a key differentiating feature to our platform. The inventory manager basically is built so that our company can work as a certified reseller of your fare products. Because we're dealing in virtual commerce, we want to create a very traceable, serialized mechanism to understand how and where a fare is created, when it's used, and then if a report is run around it. So from cradle to grave, we want to give you the financial and accounting assurance and controls to see what's happening. So you'll notice here that we have an active batch, and this shows all of the fare products that we sell through the program, through the platform. And it shows what their unit price, how many were sold. Again, this is just dummy data, so don't read into the numbers too much. But it shows you, hey, these were the gross and net sales, unsold, shows the serialized range for this. And in fact, you can come in and start a new batch that you're basically issuing to INIT or to GlobeSherpa that we then sell against. And the notion here is that every time someone purchases on the app or on the e-commerce site, that ticket decrements against the pre-approved batch that you've given to us. So it's similar to an outlet reseller model, right, where you're issuing ticket inventory to a grocery store, let's say, and they're selling against that pre-approved inventory. So in this case, you can actually push to us a certain quantity that we sell against. You can have an automatic update where, if it reaches a floor, you can refresh. But this is a control mechanism that is in place so that, if there's an issue with a certain ticket type, maybe there's a bug we've identified, we can limit that by not issuing more inventory for that certain product. And it really gives you, again, that accounting control and certainty around how we are selling these tickets. I will just go back. Under any of these tickets, we can take an individual product, and we can come through and actually control the security features, the appearance, everything related to the ticket. So we can change the design of the ticket. We can come through into the definition of the ticket and apply a time class, a geo class, change the price on the fly, build custom tickets or create, for example, a special event ticket, let's say, for New Year's or for a festival in town, a concert series, a game day, and then enable or activate that ticket for that specific amount of time. Just being respectful of time, I'm going to keep moving here. People is an administrative permissions module in TOMS. So this allows us to come through and to actually give different permissions across the system to your staff and your personnel. So we have roles here where you have some people who may be TOMS users, some may be inspectors, maybe only the finance people have access to the inventory manager to issue new tickets. But this, again, is fully customizable, and it's to give you some control within the agency about who's doing what relative to the system. Enforcement, I'm going to move over here. And enforcement, I have to give a little more data here. Enforcement, again, is where we're tracking the activity of your fair enforcement personnel, so inspectors, conductors, etc. I realize that this may not be germane or relevant to some of you on the phone. For others, it may be. But the goal here, again, is to provide really transparent data about how your system is being used, in this case by your own team. So we're coming through and we're looking at how tickets were scanned. We can come through and select, just use tickets, and it will change the data quickly. We can look at, if citations were issued. We can create custom filters for this. But again, this is to provide more control, and it's all exportable. Everything we want is to be open. It's all a services-oriented architecture through our system that lets you do with the data what you would like. So I will pause there and just bring you back to the overview here in Tom's. What I can tell you is that our system is built to be highly configurable, highly modular. We are a totally services-oriented architecture, which means that we provide RESTful APIs that you can either consume in another system that you have, perhaps that you prefer to use, or if you have other vendor technologies that you would like integrated into Tom's to the extent that they're willing to play nicely, then we can absolutely help you integrate that data feed into Tom's and use this as kind of the central repository. We also provide the ability to process PCI-compliant payments for debit and credit card processing. So we've partnered with a Level 1 certified processor called Vesta Corporation. Their platform is really unique because it provides not just your standard out-of-the-box kind of authorized.net style processing, but they also have an indemnified platform whereby the service fee is a little higher, but Vesta will take on full responsibility for PCI liability as well as for any fraud or potential chargebacks that occur on the system. Meaning if there's a refund and a chargeback and a bank fee, they simply cover that cost. So GlobeSherpa and INIT can either work with your existing merchant services provider and work with you there, or if you just want to have us take care of it through our existing platform, we can do that as well. So Ann, I will, I think I've been speaking quite a bit, so I guess I would like to pause and see if there are any questions or discussion.
Nat, thank you. Great presentation. So if there are any questions, please feel free to use the question or the chat box in the control panel to the right of your screen. We see MOBILEticket as a complete mobile ticketing solution that can be a valuable tool for agencies and their customers now and in the very near future. As we see the use of mobile ticketing continuing to explode, not just in the public transit industry, but really everywhere. So, Nat, thank you again for joining us today and for your informative presentation. If anyone wants more information about the new mobile ticket app from INIT and GlobeSherpa, you can email us at sales@initusa.com. And again, thank you, Nat. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you.